Hello everybody, TwinklePhoenix here and welcome to another creepy reading with me. So today's story of choice is going to be Disney's Catacombs, written by HorrorFan664. I'm not really sure whether or not the inspiration for the story comes from any of Slime Piece's works, such as Abandoned by Disney or not, though the costume suit characters of the Disney parks are indeed referenced here, along with a few other things, which leads me to believe that this might be inspired by the works. Thus, I'm going to read it because it features our very beloved Disney characters. And because it just gives me that feeling that it has something to do with that story. This is a very creepy story. Anyway, I make no money on my videos, and all the rights belong to the writer. Thus, I've left a message below for the writer. They have full control over what becomes of the video, if they like a copy or if they want it removed, etc. I am more than happy to do so. And also, there'll be a link below to where you guys can read the story for yourself and show your support to the writer. Now, on with the creepy reading. Disney's Catacombs. So a couple of years back, my buddies and I tried to stay in the park after closing time. Our plan was to just take pictures. Nothing sinister or anything like that. We were just wanting to be able to say we did it, you know? Basically, we snuck from bathroom to bathroom, corner to corner, and managed to stay there until they closed the gates and the maintenance team got to work. We were really surprised we hadn't gone cold. It was almost strange, considering how much talking up Disney security gets. Our hearts were beating like crazy, and we sat there for a while, hiding behind a tombstone by the Haunted Mansion. We noticed that it's true. The Disney staff had signed their names on everyone. So finally we got the courage to roam about, still being careful as not to be seen. It was really eerie. The occasional guard or maintenance worker would walk by, and we would just duck or hide behind a corner. It worked for about half an hour. Of course, we couldn't keep this up for long, and yeah, they caught us. I mean, give us props for even attempting and succeeding, but that's not where the story ends. So the first thing we said when they caught us was, "Are you going to take us down to the dungeon?" And we laughed. The security guard chuckled too. So the mood wasn't too dreary. He told us we weren't the first people to sneak in after hours, but he wanted to know how we did it. We explained the situation, and he actually laughed and said that wasn't a bad plan. He told us he had to take us to the Disney jail to be further interrogated, which we thought was odd, but we figured from the beginning that if we'd gone caught, they'd take us down there. It might have been our plan all along. Maybe we wanted to see the Disney Catacombs more than we wanted to be in the park after hours. So we called for more workers to come and help him escort us, and we went on our way towards Toontown. Then they took us down in this elevator, right into hell. The first thing we noticed was how expensive looking the elevator was. I don't know if that makes sense, but it was hard to explain. It was like a stainless steel interior with mirrors all around, and the floor was this tacky red carpeting. It looked expensive. There was only 2 buttons in the elevator, not counting the emergency button. One said up, and the other said down. I'd forgotten to mention we were never handcuffed or zip-tied our hands. They just kind of walked behind us, expecting we'd follow. Not that we would have tried to make a run for it. I mean, these people seemed decent. Like, how were we supposed to know what was going to happen? The elevator stopped, and we started walking down this perfectly shiny, bleach-smelling corridor. There were no doors on either side. It was just a plain, empty corridor. We walked what seemed like an eternity, and no one was talking any longer. It was me, my friends, and the security guard, and the 2 other maintenance workers. We finally reached a heavy metal door that had a security code and card reader. One worker put his card in, the other typed a code on the keypad. I watched the code he typed. 121566. I only remembered it because I found out later what its significance was, and it makes me laugh, looking back. Strange. It's strange that I could laugh looking back. They led me and my friends into another corridor. This one had doors down the hallways. Each door had a little plexiglass square, a 10 by 10 inch window at the top right corner. Looks sort of like a psych ward, to be honest, not so much like a jail. He led us to room 1901, and inside was a single desk, with surprisingly 3 chairs, for me and each of my friends. Then they left us in there, alone, closing the door on the way out. We sat in the chairs like obedient little children and waited for them to return, but they never did. 2 hours went by and no one came back for us. My buddy Tim went to the door, and surprisingly, it was unlocked. He didn't open it though. He was worried there'd be a guard on the other side, and they were thinking we were escaping, and we weren't looking for any more trouble. So about 25 minutes went by, and then we got restless and finally decided to leave the room. The hallway was empty like before, no signs of people, nothing. We started calling out, "Hello, is anyone there?" No one answered our calls. We noticed surveillance cameras were placed above every door, and we got to wondering if there were any living souls in this place at all. We should have left right then and there, but then again, who does the right thing in these kind of situations? Every door looked the same, and each one had a specific number above it. They weren't in order like, say, rooms 1 to 10. They were scatter numbers. For example, our room had been 1901, and the one next door was 1205. We got to thinking and finally assumed they were just randomly chosen. We walked up that hallway and had no idea where we were going, and we were hoping to find, or even if it mattered. My other buddy, Guy, decided we should just leave. He said that if they really wanted us, they'd come back. Maybe it was just a scare tactic. Maybe they just wanted to trick us into thinking we were being arrested and were waiting for us outside to laugh. I felt weary of the whole situation, and Tim was just quiet the whole time, nodding his head here and there. He was more interested in looking into the doors, like 10 by 10 inch windows. That wasn't a good idea. I tried to tell him, but of course no one listens to reason when they're freaking out. And we were definitely freaking the fuck out of this sight. The cameras above the doors were capable of motion detection and followed us as we wandered down the desolated corridor. A little red light at the bottom of the lens blinked each second. No noise filled the air. All we heard was each other's breathing. Then it happened. We had reached the end of the hallway. Unfortunately, the door at the end had 2 pin code readers. I tried the pin from before, the one I saw them type in, and it was invalid. At the moment, the lights in the hallway shut off, and we hit the doors. God damn it, I can still hear them to this day. The fucking doors opened, all lined up along the corridors. There was a subtle creak and then a boom as they hit the walls beside them with force. As I said, after I entered the invalid code in the keyboard, the lights shut off and the doors opened, except for the door with the keypad. We also noticed as the doors opened, each corner had a little bit of light seeping through its open pathway. We stood there stunned for about a good 5 minutes, not knowing what to do. We figured we tripped some sort of alarm, and this was just protocol, a standard drill in case of an attempted escape. What else were we supposed to think? So we turned the other direction, away from the locked doors. A sense of panic hit all 3 of us for some reason, and we got the urgency to run. No one agreed to run. It was like we all knew we had to at the same time. Some sort of instinct, like a baby gazelle knowing when to run from a lion. We were in the lion's den, all right. It wasn't until about the 10th door we passed that we began to look in the doorways as we passed them. Standing in the doorways were people in costumes. We were running past Donalds, Mickeys, Goofies, Plutos, and all kinds of Disney characters. It was insane, and we were screaming at the top of our lungs. I know they never look behind you as you run, but I did. They were leaving their rooms and following us, not running, just casually walking toward us. I think that is what made it more terrifying. Almost like they knew we had nowhere to go. Now, I don't know if it was all in my head, just from sheer panic and fear of that moment, but I swear I could, on my mother's life, I heard "It's a Small World" playing over an intercom. I have a fear of dolls and the rides, and it almost gave me the creeps my whole life. Now we could see them, the little robotic dolls standing in the doorways as we passed, still following with the costumed characters. The dolls weren't chasing us. Thank God, I would have died from a heart attack if I'd seen the dolls following the suits. and they didn't. It didn't make sense all that better. I mean, how many times have you been followed by a group of costume individuals setting out to fucking eat you alive? At least that's what I told myself to keep myself moving. Stopping meant being devoured by fucking Donald Duck. I don't know about you, but I don't want to go out like that. Tim was crying. Guy was sweating and breathing heavy, and I just kept turning my head to see if we were being followed. And of course, we were. I'm not sure how many doors we had passed at that point, or if there really were different characters at each door. But I knew that this hallway had to end at some point, and we were getting the fuck out of the place. Pronto. Easier said than done, though. I looked back after another minute or two of running and noticed there was nothing behind us anymore that we could see. I heard footsteps, but I figured we'd gotten so far ahead that they were just walking casually like before. The hallway was still going on for what seemed like forever, and Guy needed to stop or he was going to faint from exhaustion. The door beside us opened, the light on, but nothing inside. I decided we could hide in there, till we caught our breath and we could continue onwards. As we closed the door behind us, I noticed the room was 1966. Again, that meant nothing at the time. Tim was pacing the room, Guy was lying on the floor, still breathing pretty hard, and I was at the window looking out. I saw nothing. No music, no nothing. It was dark out, and hard to tell for sure, but I figured we would have seen figures, shadows, or something. Still, I kept watch. After 15 minutes or so, Guy said he was good to go. Tim was the only one smart enough to pull out his new Roswell cell phone. No signal, of course. He opened the door steadily, quietly, but he heard no footsteps. Nothing was following us anymore, but we weren't taking the chances. We got back to running. It took us about 7 minutes to reach the door, give or take. It had no keypad, and it was open. We entered the corridor from before, and thank God there were no doors. We ran for the elevator and got down, and pushed the up button, and stood there looking at each other, dumbfounded as to what had just happened. None of us spoke. We waited till the elevator opened back into Toontown and started making our way to the front gates. We kept a low profile, using the same duck and hide technique that had gotten us this far from the get-go. Masons, smokers, and security guards were still about, but we couldn't take any chances. Finally, Tim lost it and took off in a sprint. I couldn't imagine what had set him off until I looked and saw that everyone in the park just stood there staring at us with blank faces. We heard a voice over the intercom explaining the 3 fugitives escaped from captivity and need to be escorted back into jail below. We booked it. Catching up to Tim, costume characters appeared from the shadows, workers and guards chasing after us. Everyone was sprinting for us. I couldn't see well, but I imagined drool dripping from their jowls. They wanted us back there. We had to escape, and they were pissed. The gate was just up ahead. The creepiest thing about it all was beside the voice of the intercom, the park was dead silent. No chat from the workers could be heard, even now as we were running for what we seemed for our lives. From the workers, the characters, the guards, no one bothered to shout after us. No one yelled, no one said stop, nothing, just footsteps and the occasional cough from Guy. We made it past the park's front gate, and we didn't stop until we got to the parking lot. Our car was gone, and we were left scratching our heads. We continued running down the road, which went on for miles, stopping occasionally for us to catch our breath. We made it to a little corner store where Timmy used his cell phone to call a taxicab. When it finally arrived, we took the cab back to the hotel we were staying at, paid the fare, and went to our rooms. In the end, the next day we got a call from the hotel front desk, so we headed downstairs. There were officers waiting for us. They said our car had been impounded and we needed to pay the fine. They didn't ask us any other questions, and they didn't bother telling the police anything had happened. Even now on this random board, people don't have a reason to disbelieve me, don't believe me. So how can an officer of the law be expected to? We didn't bother. We simply paid the fine and drove home. We didn't hope it would happen. The whole drive back. It was until a couple of weeks later that I got myself to search up the number. Curiosity, I guess. As you all know, Walt Disney was born on December the 5th, 1901. The room we were in was 1901, and the door next to it was 1205, and he died December the 15th, 1966, which was a key code the worker put in to lead us into the main corridor. What a strange coincidence, I decided. Whether any of this is real at all, I couldn't tell you. Maybe our imagination ran wild. We were tired. It was around 1 a.m. and when we made our escape, so it's possible that the answer... I'll never forget it, though. And I've never, and haven't been back since. The end. That was Disney's Catacombs, written by HorrorFan664. I believe the inspiration probably did come from Abandoned by Disney story, thus I read it because we had creepy mascots again. It was very interesting, very thrilling, kept you... That was really hectic. I really liked it. It raised a lot of questions. Anyway, guys, there'll be a link below to the story. Feel free to read it for yourself. And yes, I'll see you in the next creepy reading. Sorry again if I messed up on 1 or 2 or 3 words, or if I added a word in at the end there by mistake. But I do hope you still enjoyed. So, bye-bye. More videos coming up on the channel shortly.